Today we're going back to a traditional Let's Translate, this time in French. We're going to look at a snippet of an article in Le Monde and see how we can determine the meaning without looking things up. There's a link to this page in the description. Now, this paper is largely subscription only, but it gives you little teasers of articles. If you want to read newspaper content more deeply, you will have to pay. But for that, you'll definitely get a lot of content to read if you prefer this kind of thing to books. So my first tip would be to choose news articles that relate to things you know a bit about. For example, this article is basically about the cost of living crisis, which many countries are going through. So you will have heard a lot of these terms used in your own language. So let's get started. Bientôt la fin du choc inflationniste. So this is a question. So it's asking if this is the end. Are we coming to the end of the inflation shock? Obviously, choc looks like shock, and inflationniste looks like inflationist. En Europe, le ralentissement de la hausse des prix se confirme en tout cas. So in Europe, le ralentissement, if you don't know what that means, you could equate it to the word relenting in English, which kind of means to stop, to go back maybe. So this is talking about la hausse des prix, so the high prices, and se confirme is confirmed, en tout cas, in any case. So in Europe, the slowing down of high prices is confirmed in any case. En novembre, in November, selon les données publiées par Eurostat jeudi 30 novembre, according to, now if you don't know what données publiées is, obviously publié is published by Eurostat on the Thursday the 30th of November. So something has been published. What are they likely to have published as we're talking about inflation? They're talking about figures or data. L'inflation sur un an était de 2, is that virgule in French? 2,4% en zone euro et de 3,8% en France. So l'inflation, inflation, sur un an, over 1 year, because that's how they always do the figures for a whole year, was 2.4% in the Eurozone and 3.8% in France. C'est loin, très loin du pic connu un an plus tôt. Loin, I think most people will know, it's far, very far. Du pic, I think this is just a contraction of picture. So very far from the picture. Connu is connaître, so known 1 year plus tôt, earlier. Quand elle avait culminé respectivement à 10,6% et 7,1%. So if you don't know what culminate is, it's very similar to culmination, so the final figure. So it reached respectively 10.6% and 7.1%. So that's referring back to in the Eurozone and in France. Mais, but, faut-il le préciser? Faut-il, it is necessary. Préciser is close to precise. So it's necessary to be more precise. Pas grand monde ne va célébrer cette nouvelle. Now, you'll probably be able to work out what each of these words is. The only one that you might not have seen before probably will be célébrer. Not great world is not going to celebrate this news. So not very many people will be celebrating this news. Les prix ne baissent pas. Prices aren't doing something. If you don't know what baisse is, read on in the sentence. Ils ont simplement cessé d'augmenter aussi vite qu'avant. Cesser is close to cease in English. They have simply ceased. D'augmenter, augment in English, to go up. So they've ceased going up. Aussi vite qu'avant, as quickly as before. So what would baisse mean? The prices aren't doing something. They've simply stopped increasing. So they haven't gone down. Sur 3 ans, over 3 years, l'inflation en zone euro a été de 18% et les salaires n'ont pas suivi. Inflation in the Eurozone has been at 18% and les salaires, salaries, n'ont pas suivi, haven't followed, haven't kept up. En moyenne, on average, chacun est aujourd'hui plus pauvre qu'à la sortie de la pandémie. Chacun, each one, is today plus pauvre. Pauvre is very similar to poor in English. Everyone is poorer than at the exit, the end of the pandemic. So if you break things down like that and maybe read on a little bit. Ooh, something happened there. Change of adverts on the... Ooh, it's all moving around. Okay. So if you read on a bit and then go back, you should be able to get what the previous part of the sentence was if you didn't understand it first time round. There are a lot of words here that are very similar to English. This kind of article shouldn't be too difficult, because as I said before, it's about a subject that many people will already have heard in their own language and be quite familiar with the kind of things that get said.